Well, hello again, and again, I didn't expect to be making a video quite so soon, but there's a few things I've seen that I think are well worth commenting on. Now, apparently there's some new UAP non-profit for UAP transparency has just started up. It's been started by Lou Elizondo, Gary Nolan, Carnell. Chris Mellon's involved with it. Matt Ford apparently is involved with it as well. Matt Ford is a fanboy that died in the wall. He won't question anything they've got to say. If you watch his podcast, if you put a comment on there that's slightly negative or even asking a slightly challenging question, it's gone straight away. That's Matt Ford. So zero credibility there. Now, Lou Elizondo, Gary Nolan, Carnell, it's a non-profit, okay? So I don't know whether they're going to be taking any money out of this, but normally non-profits mean they take in loads and loads of money and they'll give it to the people that have set up the non-profit, because there can't be anything in the bank account at the end of the year. It's a non-profit. So whatever money goes into the bank account has to be distributed amongst the directors or whatever. Bear in mind, of course, Lou Elizondo, and it says Lou Elizondo, managing director of the Pentagon's ATIP program, and we know, don't we, that the ATIP program was a Lou Elizondo hobby project that had zero funding. Gary Nolan sees aliens at the bottom of his bed when he's a kid. They look through the windows. They're there for weeks on end. He doesn't try and communicate with them. Doesn't call his parents. Carnell, with his impressive background in the aerospace industry, the UAP task force, tells us that aliens are coming here. He knows this. Just look at all the other people that are saying that it's true. He's relying on what other people are saying. So that's Carnell, Lou Elizondo and Gary Nolan are setting up this UAP, this new UAP transparency non-profit. Do any of you think any of these guys have any credibility when it comes to this stuff? Personally, I don't. Why would anyone want to give them money? So what you'd have to ask yourself is, what is the difference between this new UAP transparency organisation and things like Steve Bassett's Paradigm Research Group? It's the same thing, isn't it? Lobbying for UFO, ET transparency. What's the difference? Or Sheehan's New Paradigm Institute. Danny Sheehan's New Paradigm Institute, What's the difference between this new UAP transparency thing and those two organisations? Or the Soul Foundation, another not-for-profit, supposedly, with lots and lots of people that have to be paid from somewhere. Paid with your money. There can't be any money in the bank. Not-for-profit. Or there's another one that you don't get, I don't hear about when watching these other UFO ET type YouTube channels. There's something called ICER, ICER, which is the International Coalition for Extraterrestrial Research. And if I can find a link, I'll leave it below so you can look at the ICER website. Again, similarly unimpressive. Sort of people involved with that. None of these outfits are credible, in my opinion. What's the difference between this and the TTSA? That's what the TTSA was all about, wasn't it? Send us your money. We'll push for disclosure. We'll research ET materials. We'll build you a starship. Just send us your money. Lots of money was sent in. There's no starship, isn't there? What happened to the money? Where's the ET materials? It's all rubbish, isn't it? It's all science fiction rubbish. All they're doing really by adding this extra organisation into the bucket is siphoning more out of the bucket. So you've only got so many people that are going to put money in the pot for all this nonsense, and if you've got an extra organisation, that's going to be less money for the others, isn't it? Well, Gary Nolan's covered with the Soul Foundation and this. You know, this new UAP transparency organisation has already appointed a chief financial officer to handle all of your money. They've already appointed a chief financial officer to handle all the money they're expecting to come in from you, because you are gullible enough to believe this bloody rubbish. You know, it's, as I said, you know, it's set up Louis Elizondo, you know, hobby program at the Pentagon, ATIP, not funded. He says, it's my belief that, you know, my belief ET's coming here. He's not saying, I know, you know, I've done all this research, I know for sure that's what's happening. Gary Nolan, I had aliens at the bottom of my bed for weeks on end. Didn't interact with them, I didn't shake a tentacle. I didn't say to my brother, hey, what do you think these things are? Apparently his brother was in the same room. His brother saw them as well. They were looking through the windows. Gary Nolan. Really? You know, Carl Nell. I've been in all these organisations. I've been in the UAP task force, you know. Well, how do you know they're coming here, Colonel Nell? Well, just look at the people that are saying they're coming here. These are the people behind this. It's ridiculous. You know, and you've got to bear in mind too that Danny Sheehan is saying there should be a countdown clock running to the 18th of October. There's going to be all these revelations, you know, all this historical stuff's going to be classified or not, it's going to be released. He's fully expecting the Roswell story to be the crash of an ET craft. So what's the point of this other organisation? If there should be a countdown clock running to disclosure on the 18th of October this year, what's the point of it? They're obviously not expecting anything like that, are they? They think Danny Sheehan is wrong, obviously, don't they? Because they're setting up an organisation that's going to be lobbying for this transparency and all this sort of thing. Well, that's going to run long after October. There'd be no point setting it up for a few months, would there? Unless they just want to fill the bucket, take the money and run. They obviously think Danny Sheehan is wrong, as do I, you know. As I said yesterday, Mac Brazel said all he found in the field was tin foil, balsa wood strips, tin foil, bits of rubber, scotch tape. You know, you think aliens crossed the galaxy to go to Walmart to buy scotch tape? Home Depot to buy scotch tape? Ridiculous nonsense. So Danny Sheehan, they're all going to be disappointed in October. Danny Sheehan is going to be particularly disappointed because there's not going to be any revelations about historical recovered crashed ET craft. It's not going to happen. It's never happened. It's all rubbish. We would have known about it long before now. If any of this was real, we would have known about it long before now. Now, the Soul Foundation has been going for a while now, and it's got loads of people involved with it. You know, Gary Nolan says it's an academic environment. They have to put, the presenters have to present something credible. Yet we find people like Tim Galladay there saying, I know we're interacting with several alien species, you know. Then when he's asked in another interview if he's had any personal experience, first-hand experience with ET, biological or technological materials, he goes, oh no, but I've been told by credible people that it's real, you know. Doesn't say who they are. Apparently he's friends with Jay Stratton. You know, is Jay Stratton one of these credible people? You know, one of the Skinwalker Ranch people? Paid Bigelow $22 million to investigate his own ranch? Chased werewolves and dino beavers? Wasn't Stratton the guy that said he had demons follow him home and they were running around in his garden? This is credible. Someone credible, is it? Personally, I don't think so. Carl Nell, again, you know, he's presented at the Soul Foundation. How do you know, Colonel, that ET's coming here? Well, just look at the people that are saying it's all real, you know. He's been in the UAP task force, you know. He's worked for all these aerospace, space defence industries, you know. And he has to say, all he can say is look at the people that are saying it's true. He can't say, well, I know because I've dealt with ET materials. Because he hasn't. He's got no first-hand experience. None of these people have. Because ET is not coming here. ET is not crashing here. It's rubbish. So anyway, the Sol Foundation has got to show they're doing something, you know, because they've got money coming in. People have to see that they are doing something. So what they've done is they've produced a white paper for the UK government. Oh dear. For what they think are policy implications for the UK government, and it's volume 1, number 3. I'm going to read some of it, assuming I can see it. I've got a laptop in front of me here. Now, it sounds good, doesn't it? A white paper. Now, in the UK, a white paper is something that's actually produced by the government. It's proposed policies on a white paper. It's not something that's submitted to the government. It's produced by the government. So calling it a white paper is, I think, sort of suggesting credibility where there is none. Why call it a white paper? I mean, it's their proposed policy, but, you know, to call it a white paper, I think that's clouding the issue a bit. That's sort of suggesting, you know, when you mention white paper and UK government in the same sentence, it's sort of suggesting that the UK is looking at these possible policies, not that they've been suggested by an outside fanboy organisation. Okay, so, you know, the Sol Foundation has to be seen to be doing something with your money, because I said before, SOL stands for shit out of luck. If they think they're going to be dealing with ET materials, biological or technological materials, they're not going to get any. There is none here. There's none on Earth. It's nonsense. So they've got to be seen to be doing something with your money. You know, it's. So really, with this new UAP transparency outfit, this Elizondo, you know, Chris Mellon, Gary Nolan thing, put a line through it. You know, in the words of the rock band The Who, we won't be fooled again. We won't be fooled again. Okay, so let's have a look at this white paper for a bit of a chuckle. Now it says the white paper implores the UK government to publicly treat the UAP topic with the seriousness it deserves. The policy implications pervade almost every area of government and society. No, in the real world, no one gives a damn about it. They raise innumerable questions that need to be categorised and investigated. In this paper, we identify the policy implications for the UK government and discuss them as they relate to 5 broad areas of government and society. And I think they're overstating this quite considerably. The UK government said they gave up looking into UAP UFO reports a long time ago. They were of no defence significance. Years ago, they dumped it. No airliners, you know, they're not a risk to flight safety. Every area of government, the policy implications pervade almost every area of government and society. No, they don't. No, they don't, do they? I mean, someone sees a light in the sky. How does that exactly, you know, raise innumerable questions? How does that pervade almost every area of government and society? To be perfectly honest, the UK is in such a mess at the moment. The last thing on their mind is going to be any of this science fiction rubbish. You know, just look at what's going on in the UK at the moment. It's a mess. And I think Richie Sunak, I don't do politics, but I think Richie Sunak has decided to run with this we'll bring back national service policy. Because he doesn't want to get voted back in. He doesn't want to have to deal with it. He's rich. He doesn't need all this. He doesn't need all his headaches. He wants to be voted out. and get politics behind him as quickly as possible. That's my personal opinion. But the UK has got so many problems. The last thing they're going to be interested in is flying saucers and aliens. Okay, so in this paper we identify the policy implications for the UK and discuss them as they relate to 5 broad areas of government and society. Okay, so there's 5 broad areas of government and society. Now let's have a look at this. I can find the little, there we go, I can find the little pointer. It's pretty bright out here. It's what is it? It's the 3rd of June. So this is the 3rd day of winter here in Australia. This will be the equivalent of the 3rd of December in the UK. As you can probably see in the reflection behind me. It's quite a nice day. It's probably about 14 or 15 degrees centigrade. It's not cold anyway. Anyway, I digress. So number 1, government. Sorry, I've got to do this because of the sunlight and the LCD screen. Government and national security. As advanced technological objects, UAP present a risk to national security and flight safety that must be expertly assessed by the military and intelligence community, irrespective of their origin. Well, how do we know they're advanced technological objects? How do we know they're not ball lightning? You know, some strange weather phenomenon. How do we know they're not balloons? You know? Like the Tic Tac, lighter than air surveillance vehicles. How do we know they're advanced technological objects? What would qualify as an advanced technological object? A risk to national security and flight safety that must be expertly assessed. No. The UK government's already looked into it and said it's not worth looking at. They're not a risk to flight safety. Not once in the history of human flight has an airliner been brought down by an alien spacecraft. Or a UAP. There is also the risk of technological surprise that could result if some states are secretly attempting to emulate and weaponise the technological capabilities of UAPs and one prevails. So they're saying we should really look at it because you don't want to be surprised by the technology of an adversarial state, country. Well, yeah, maybe, but I mean, you don't want an alert team you'd have to pay for and all this. I mean, it happens so rarely, doesn't it? That you'd need to look at it if one of these did crash. That's for sure. Just to prove that it was not ET. We'll see if it was ET. I don't think it would be. But, If UAP prove not to be designed by human beings, then we may be forced to acknowledge the existence of a power and intelligence greater than any government. This prevents risks to the legitimacy of existing anthropocentric governances and structures, and these risks may be amplified by failures of the government, accountability, and lack of public trust. So what they're saying there is basically if aliens turn up, no government is going to be able to do anything about it. All governments are going to be in the same boat, not just the UK government. So, yeah, this is just fluff. This is they're expecting aliens to come here and threaten us, basically. You know, what's this going to be? Well, what are we going to do about it? That would never happen. If ET wants the planet, they're not going to come here and fight us on our own terms. We're not going to have to deal with any of this. Number 2, international relations. This is fluff. UAP are a global phenomenon necessitating some degree of international cooperation and collaboration on information sharing, investigation and public communication. These actions may reduce the risk of rapid, uncontrollable disclosure. Countries may want to consider new treaties to prevent the weaponisation of UAP-related technologies and collective action through a supranational organisation such as the United Nations. Yeah, I think probably if ET did come here, they'd probably know enough about the planet to want to talk to the United Nations, because they'd know they were talking to the planet through them. Basically what they're saying is, if you've got UAP materials, tell everyone you've got them, and we can all collaborate. You might want to consider new treaties to prevent the weaponisation of UAP-related technologies. Well, supposedly, according to all the UFO piffle peddlers and the UFO fanboys, this is all super secret in the US, because the US has been doing exactly that, haven't they? They've been trying to weaponise recovered alien spacecraft, and they're keeping it all super secret. Not true. Can't be true, can it? I mean, if they've been working on this since 1947, we'd be seeing some spectacular stuff, wouldn't we? As I've said, Elon Musk has got enough money to buy anything he wants. He could buy this information, he could buy this AET technology if it was around. SpaceX would be on Mars. They wouldn't be using chemical rockets. It's all, this is fluff. This is producing something for the sake of producing something. So they can say to the people that are putting money into the Sol Foundation, we've produced this white paper. Technically, it probably is white paper, isn't it? It's not a UK government white paper. So basically that's just saying, the governments should collaborate. If anyone's got any of this stuff, let everybody else know. No one's got any of it. It's jumped ahead. It's jumped ahead. Okay, so number three, scientific progress and UK competitiveness. The scientific investigation of UAP may prompt new investment opportunities and enable extraordinary technological progress in many sectors of the economy, both at home and abroad. While that progress could be beneficial, it might also turn out to be disruptive to the economic status quo and require domestic and international policy responses. The scientific investigation of UAP may prompt new investment opportunities. Money! Give us your money! And enable extraordinary technology progress in many sectors of the economy. So this probably relates to free energy. They're going to think that alien spacecraft is going to take energy from the 0 point, free energy. And it's going to be disruptive to the economic status quo. No such thing as free energy. And again, this is just another, the prompt new investment opportunities is just to make people think, oh, wait a minute, can we make some money out of this? Again, it's fluff, it's rubbish, it's meaningless. I think Richie Sunak would print this out and get one of his advisors to read it to him, and then once he has, he'll say, I hope that's not printed on shiny paper, Sir Humphrey, because we need to hang it up in the toilet. It's arse paper. That's what this is. So then we go to number 4. Which is financial stability. UAP disclosure presents risks to financial stability because of the potential impact of disclosure and paradigm-changing UAP-related technologies on existing financial markets. Same thing, this relates to free energy. The Bank of England should take action to address the UAP risk in order to avoid financial instability particularly given the inarguable global nature of financial markets. UAP disclosure presents risks to financial stability because of the potential impact of disclosure. Gee whiz. So why exactly? Why would this bother the Bank of England? UAP disclosure presents a risk to financial stability because of the potential impact of disclosure on existing financial markets. Well, I suppose if alien spacecraft turned up and started hovering over the White House, over the Houses of Parliament, like they do in Independence Day and these other science fiction films, The stock market's going to crash, it's going to be worthless. So that's probably what they're getting at there. But that's not going to matter because no one's going to need any money anyway, because shortly after that we're going to be exterminated. We're not going to do anything about it. We're not going to be able to do anything about it. So it's really not worth the Bank of England wasting its time on that scenario. The Bank of England will not be remotely interested in addressing the UAP risk. They'll fall about laughing in their oak-panelled office, wearing their pinstripe suits, smoking their cigars. They're saying, what is a UAP? Oh, that's flying saucers, little green men, Carruthers. Oh, really, Carstairs? Next. It's complete rubbish. Pointless. How can I get to number 5? Where's number 5? Number 5. Social implications. There would be ontological shock if UAP proved not to be designed by human beings. The government would need to think very carefully about how it communicates such news to its citizens and what impact it might have on society, leadership, the economy, and the demand for mental health support services. Well, I think mental health support services are getting lots of demand at the moment from people that believe all this stuff. Because they're all nuts. They're all crazy. Thinking ET's coming here and crashing? Get a grip. FFS. The UK government should engage with and seek input from the Church of England and all other Christian denominations in the UK. Well, from what I hear, there's not many of those left. And interfaith dialogue and eventually a council should be set up for the leaders of the Muslim, Hindu, Sikh, Jewish and Buddhist faiths in the UK. Pointless. Absolutely pointless. You know, I mean, one in particular wants to rule them all anyway, don't they? The Buddhists are going to say, well, you know, if it's okay with you, it's okay with me. If ET rolls up here, it's not going to matter what religious denomination you're a member of. The aliens aren't going to care. ET doesn't give a damn about what we believe. You know? Think about why ET would come here. What would be in it for them? Not much. They're not going to get a technological advantage, are they? If they were looking at the planet right now, you know, what's going on in Israel, the war in Israel, Palestine, Ukraine, Russia, you know, all these refugees flooding into all these countries, all these illegal immigration all over the world. They're going to say, well, you know, everyone, the wars are killing each other, you know, everyone's at each other's throats. They're going to say, this lot's not worth interacting with, you know. We'll come back in 300 years and check them out again. They're not going to say, you know, well, maybe if we show ourselves we can straighten these people out. You know, this is more trouble than it's worth, this planet, you know. As far as the people go. It doesn't matter what you believe. You know, if they want the planet, they'll kill you whatever faith you are. Because it would be a mass extinction event. You know, it would be a bioweapon that would kill all human life within a few days, if that. They wouldn't come here and start firing lasers at people and fighting us on their own terms. They wouldn't need to, because if they've got the technology to get here, then they've got the technology to wipe us out very, very easily. They wouldn't need to fight with us. They wouldn't need to risk damage. They wouldn't need to cause a lot of damage around the planet that they wanted to occupy. I mean, if they are physiologically similar to us, you know, hands and feet, you know, bipeds, a lot of the structures could be useful. Our power generation system might be crude by their standards, but it will do to get them up and running, and they would gradually replace them with something a little more, you know, fusion power or whatever. You know, certainly not free energy from the 0 point. It's rubbish. So all of this, we also make the following 5 recommendations for the UK government. Let's just have a quick look at this. But this is fluff. It's nothing. This is just producing bits of paper just to be able to say, look, you sent us some money and we've produced this, that we're submitting this to the UK government. When all that's going to happen is this will drop on someone's desk, some junior will look at it. A minister's going to say, well, Sir Humphrey's going to look at it and say, well, can we use this? Is there a political spin we can use? No? Okay. Round file. That's where this is going. So, we also make the following 5 recommendations for the UK government. Number 1. Establish the facts. Establish the facts. We recommend that the Cabinet and Parliament be provided with full briefings by the British Intelligence Community, Armed Forces, Civil Aviation Authority, UK Space Agency on the UAP topic. Pardon me. There's probably already something in place with regard to that. I mean, they don't mention DI-55 here, but there is a specific branch of UK intelligence that looks at this sort of thing. They would then say, okay, we've looked at this, with a with a trusted defence contractor, which would be BAE Systems. We have looked at this and we've determined that this is ET. Okay, they would then go and present that to the Defence Minister. So you don't need any of this stuff. It's already in place. Okay, that's a much simpler version of this is already in place. We also recommend the Cabinet and Parliament pay serious attention to the unclassified history of government action, legislation and investigation of UAP since 1947. Now, why 1947? Because they think the Roswell crash was a real crash of an ET craft? We also recommend the Cabinet reaches out to our American allies. Now bear in mind this is written in America by an American, isn't it? We also recommend the Cabinet reaches out to our American allies to begin information sharing on the UAP topic. So basically they're saying, well, if the UK knows something they don't, then please tell us. Please, please Mr Sunak, get your Defence Minister to tell us what you've got. Tell us what we don't know. Yeah, not going to happen. Even if an alien spacecraft did crash in the UK, I think it'd probably be on the news, to be honest. Come to think of it, I think it'd be on the news. So many people in the UK. People would be running around it, live streaming it all. I don't think it'd be possible to keep that secret. If there was something that they had from years ago, decades ago. I think if it had been aliens, they would have sought advice. They would have wanted scientists from all over the world to look at it. So this is just nonsense. UAP risk assessment. Number 2, UAP risk assessment. We recommend the Cabinet commissions a whole of government investigation into the policy implications of UAP as set out in section 2 of this white paper. They're not going to do that. Bigger fish to fry. The government are going to think this is science fiction rubbish, new business. Social research. We recommend the Cabinet commission social research such as surveys, statistical analysis, participant observation and unstructured interviews to gauge the UK public's attitudes towards and awareness of the UAP topic, the population's likely psychological and social response to UAP disclosure. It's going to be on the news, news at 10, ET's here, but we've known about it for some time. One crashed, it's like 1985, just outside Wapping, and we've had it in a shed. A few guys have been looking at it, a few guys with Harris tweed jackets with leather patches on their elbows, band-aid around the glasses, corduroy trousers, and the soles hanging off their shoes, those boffins, we call them in the UK, boffins. I've been looking at it for years, the average response in the average British household will be, oh yeah, okay. Can you pass the tomato ketchup? That will be the response. Additionally, we recommend the Cabinet Office that the Cabinet identifies the UK's critical workers by occupation in relation to UAP disclosure. We recommend 2 of these occupational groups should be executive government, leadership and Bank of England core staff. So we recommend the Cabinet Office UK's critical workers by occupation in relation to UAP disclosure. We recommend 2 of these occupational groups should be executive government, leadership and Bank of England core staff. Yeah, okay. Social research should be carried out on the identified occupational groups to gauge in similar fashion their awareness and likely reaction to the UAP topic. Well, I don't think they're going to need any of this, because they'll read this and they'll say, well, if it was true, they'd say, well, we've known about this for for decades. If we tell everybody, no one's really going to care about it. The people at the Bank of England would probably say, well, whatever happens to us is going to happen to everybody else on earth. So it's not. I mean, is it going to make any difference to the money I've got in the bank if it was on the news this morning that ET had visited this planet? They'd crashed here 30 years ago. I don't think so, personally. I think again this is just fluff. They're thinking, what can we say? Who would be involved in this if this was real? Who would be involved in this? And again, if ET turned up with hostile intent, no one's going to be interested. The people from the Bank of England are going to be running and hiding. They're not going to be interested in sitting in a meeting with the government. Money will be arse paper, won't it? And if that happens, there's nothing the Bank of England can do about it, or any other bank can do about it. It's not worth involving them, is it? If the market's going to be affected, it's affected. Simple as that. Personally, I don't think it would depend on the form of the news. If it's something that happened years ago, we know it happened. We know it's ET. Pass the ketchup. If they're on their way here and we don't know what they want, oh shit, this could be a bit iffy. But again, I mean, I wouldn't go to the bank, withdraw my money, turn my money into gold bars or whatever, and then get myself some MREs, some car batteries, a torch and a wind-up radio and go and drive 200 kilometres out in the bush. I just wouldn't bother. Because if they're coming here with hostile intent, you can kiss your backside goodbye. A lot of people will just have to hope they're still supple enough to do that. Put your head between your legs, kiss your backside goodbye, because we'd have no chance of thwarting an alien invasion, regardless of what Travis Taylor might tell you. Oh dear. So the Cabinet reaches out to American allies, gauge the UK's public towards critical workers. Okay. Likely reactions to the UAP topic. Well, the topic in general, most people are apathetic to it. More and more people are becoming apathetic to it because of what's been going on over the last year and a half, 2 years, with all these. We know it's happening. All these whistleblowers, and it's all fallen flat. No one's come forward with first-hand. Well, telling of first-hand experiences with extraterrestrial, biological and technological materials. No one's produced any of these technological, biological, extraterrestrial materials. Most people think it's rubbish. They'd say, oh yeah, well, we thought there might have been something to it, but look at what's happened over the last 2 years. These people have come forward, they're relating what they've been told by others. No one's come forward to say they've been doing it themselves. No one's shown any evidence, It's nonsense. That's the general population's view on the UAP topic. Even some of them that might have thought there was something to it no longer do, because of this recent activity. Or lack of activity, I should say. Okay, so that's number 3. This is just nonsense, all this stuff. It's waste of a few sheets of A4, really. That's all this is. It's, look at us, we're sitting down and thinking about it, we're producing what we consider as a white paper. This is what you're getting for your money. That's all this is. Initial public engagement. We recommend the Cabinet hosts an international summit on UAP in the UK, akin to the AI Safety Summit held at Bletchley Park in November 2023. Well, the thing is, AI is real, it's tangible. People play with AI, scientists all around the world are playing with AI. No one's playing with recovered ET materials, are they? An international summit on UAP in the UK, they're not going to do that. It's a waste of time. What are they going to say? Rendlesham Forest might have been a UAP when everybody knows it wasn't. There's nothing to talk about. The AI Safety Summit produced the Bletchley Declaration, a commitment from 28 countries plus the EU to collaborate on policy relating to the topic of AI safety. Well, yes, okay, that makes sense. AI is real. Many countries are working on it. Personally, I think it's a really bad idea to engineer a machine that can get bored, that can change its mind, that can have a view opposing yours, depending on what the machine is doing. It's a personal opinion. It might be okay as an academic exercise in a lab, but for goodness sake, don't put it out in the world. Could the UK instigate similar international collaboration on all matters relating to UAP? Well, they probably could, but it'd be a waste of time, wouldn't it? Well, what's going to happen? You're going to get the usual fanboys going along saying, oh, it's all real, we think this should be thoroughly investigated. The UK government hasn't got the time or money to muck around looking at balloons and fuzzy pictures, Without tangible evidence to support any of this ET coming here, recovered, crashed alien spacecraft nonsense, the UK government is not going to be remotely interested in doing any of this. It's pie in the sky. We also recommend that the Cabinet, in consultation with Parliament, issues a public statement on UAP, such as the UK government acknowledges the legitimacy of unidentified anomalous phenomenon. We are working with our international allies to investigate the cause and their implications. Now, you've got to bear in mind that the Sol Foundation is sucking in money to peddle all this nonsense, and if they can get a government to say something like that, it gives Sol and these other ridiculous organisations some credibility when there's no credibility there. The British government, the UK government, is not going to do that. It's a waste of time. This is fluff. If they were remotely interested in doing this, they wouldn't have shut down the UFO desk. They wouldn't have said we're no longer looking into this because UAPs present no defence significance. If one of these things had brought down an airliner, might be a different story. If one had crashed in the UK and they know it's an ET craft, might be a different story. But as it is, none of that has happened. So they're not going to be remotely interested in this. As I said, especially with what's going on in the UK at the moment. It's a mess. This would not, if they had a list of 1,000 things they'd have to deal with, this would be 151,000 on that list. It's nothing. 5, quantify the do-nothing scenario. Okay. We recommend the Cabinet, in consultation with Parliament, assesses and quantifies the risks and ramifications to the United Kingdom if the government continues the status quo of no policy response on UAP. In particular, the government should consider the question, what happens if there is confirmation that the designers of UAP are not of human origin? I don't think they'll worry about that because they'll know it's not. They're not ETs. The British government are not really interested in UAPs. As I said, if they were a risk to flight safety, they would be. And when it comes to, if there was confirmation that the designers of a UAP are not of human origin, the only way you could do that would be to get hold of one. That's not going to be possible if it is ET. So it's not worth worrying about on that score either. Then I think they probably would have a bit of a conflab with others to see what they thought. But it'd probably just be on the news at 10, I mean, if something crashed in the UK and it was ET, it'd be live streamed for a start. There's so many people in the UK, it's a small island, it's not going to crash in the middle of nowhere, wherever it crashes it's going to be live streamed. And if it turns out to be ET, it'd be a huge news story. It's not going to be squashed, the media's not controlled. It'd never be able to squash that story. That's how it would be released. And then some people would be excited about it, some people will be interested in it, and an awful lot of people will go, big deal. Is it going to affect me playing football this Saturday afternoon? Is it going to affect my mortgage? That's all. That's all that's going to happen there. It's got no policy. Status quo, no policy response on UAP, and the reason for that is that they're not going to put time and money into something that's not worth putting time and money into. They've done it before. That's why they no longer do it, because they looked into it and found there was nothing to it. And you've got to bear in mind too that Cambridge University is working with the JWST at the moment. A professor, I can't remember his name, it's an unpronounceable name, but he thinks he's fairly confident he's found a biosignature. That wasn't made a secret, was it? So they've had the JWST pointing at this planet. I can't remember which one it is now. It's about 40 light years away. And they're studying it very closely. And this professor at Cambridge University in the UK is saying that they should be able to say before the end of the year whether it's a biosignature or not. Now, if it's a biosignature, even if it's bacteria, ET, life exists in the galaxy beyond this planet. That is a monumental discovery. That'll be all over the news. They're not going to hide it. And I haven't read it myself, but someone was talking about this and they said they may have discovered a technosignature as well. Now, that could be a gross exaggeration, and I suspect it is. But if they have discovered a technosignature, then intelligent ET is only 40 light years away. That's in our galactic backyard. They won't hide that. They'll just say, we found ET. We're not alone in the universe. Most people will watch the news and go, yeah, I told you. They are Mavis. I told you, didn't I? Norman will be sitting there going, oh, I know it all the time. I just didn't. I said that, didn't I, Maeve? Maeve? Didn't I say they're out there? Pass the tomato sauce, will you, babe? Thank you. Now, even if they do find a biosignature accompanied by a technosignature, it doesn't mean they're coming here. What they'll then do, if they think they can see evidence of technology, in the atmosphere, CFCs or whatever they look for, something synthetic in the atmosphere, and they say, okay, well, that's only produced by technology, then SETI will be training all their telescopes on it to see if there's any radio, there's any television. Because if there isn't, it could be that they are where we were 400 years ago. They could be sailing around in square-rigged ships, firing cannonballs at each other. you know, with a skull and crossbones flag hanging on the back of the boat. It doesn't necessarily mean that they would be in advance of us. Well, actually, though, if there was sort of CFCs and all that sort of stuff, they'd have to be at least where we were 50 years ago. You know? But if they're not hearing radio and they're seeing that sort of thing, they'd probably have to be back where, well, I don't know, because we had radio for a long time as well. Huh? Anyway, thinking out loud. But that, if they do find that, it doesn't mean they're coming here. 40 light years doesn't sound like much, does it? In a science fiction movie, that's a blink of an eye. But it would take Voyager 78,000 years at its present velocity to reach Proxima Centauri 4 light years away. So it's going to take 780,000 years for us to get a probe to this planet 40 light years away with our present technology. So I think it's very unlikely they're going to be coming here, if they're there at all. But that's very interesting, and it's real. And I've always said, you know, when the announcement is made that we are not alone, it's not going to be made by any of these, you know, piffle-peddling fantasists that have been told it's all real and it's all super secret. You know, all the documents and photos are in a basement. You know, the announcement is the announcement is going to be made by people involved with SETI, the JWST. You know, they're going to be found out in the galaxy with the technology, remote sensing stuff. That's where the announcement is going to come from, and it will be real and it will be verified by, you know, scientists from multiple sources. That's where, you know, Gary Nolan poo-poos all this. You know, SETI, load of rubbish. Why? Why attack SETI? Why attack real science that's looking for these technologically advanced ET species out there? But the announcement may come before the end of the year from Cambridge University, from the JWST team. It's probably going to be the international team. That extraterrestrial life has been found. That may well come before Christmas this year. But it's not going to be hidden. It's not going to come from the piffle peddling fantasists. Boss, the plane. Welcome to Fantasy Island, you know, where ET's alien spacecraft are crashing like rain. Where's my crash helmet? You know, that's where it will come from. And it may come this year from the professor at Cambridge University. The British government isn't going to hide that. Richie Sunak is not going to be remotely interested in keeping that a secret. That's going to look good for England. You know, whoever can make that announcement first will go down in the history books. And it's not being made by the piffle-peddling fantasists because they can't back it up with any evidence. JWST will be able to do that. SETI would be able to do that. Okay, well, I think that's enough of a rant for a Sunday morning. I can't think of anything else I was going to say. This is probably overrun again, so I'll have to join it up. So this antique computer I've got here is going to take forever to join the two clips together. But anyway, going off at a tangent, I've got things to do. So once again, many thanks for watching, if you struggled through the video all the way to this point. And maybe I'll catch you again.